Cooking with fractions. Let's make math muffins. Here are our ingredients. It looks like this recipe makes 9 muffins, but what if I want to make 18 muffins? I guess we're going to have to add fractions. But how do we do that? Don't worry, I'll show you. The cool thing about fractions is, even though they're less than a whole number, sometimes when we add them together, they become a whole number. For instance, with our sugar, we're going to add 1/2 cup plus another 1/2 cup is going to give us a whole cup. First, we're going to do the salt. We have 1/2 teaspoon of salt plus another 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Add across the top, we get 2/2, which actually is going to give us 1 whole teaspoon. Now let me show you how this really works. Here's our salt, and there's our 1/2 teaspoon of salt that we're going to start out with. We pour it into our 1 whole teaspoon, and it fills it up halfway. And so we're going to add another 1/2 teaspoon of salt and pour that into the whole teaspoon. And look, 1/2 plus 1/2 equals 1 whole teaspoon. Now let's try the flour. We have 1 1/2 cups of flour plus 1 1/2 cups of flour. Add the fractions first. So we have 1/2 plus 1/2 gives us 2/2, just like our teaspoons, remember? That's going to equal 1. So when we have 1/2 plus 1/2, that's going to give us 1. And then we're going to add our whole numbers. So we have 1 plus 1 is 2, just like you would add normally. So we're going to add our 1 from the fractions to our 2, and that's going to give us 3 cups of flour. Now let me show you how this looks. So we have our 1 1/2 cup of flour already ready from the first set. And then we have our other half because we're going to add our fractions first. So we're going to add our 1/2 to that. And then let's measure. And 1 1/2 plus 1/2 is going to give us 2 cups. And then we have our other whole cup from the second whole number of the fraction. So total, there's our 1 plus our 2 cups, 3 cups, just like we added. Did you know a whole number can be made into a fraction just by putting a 1 under it? So let's try this. We have 2 teaspoons of baking powder plus 2 teaspoons of baking powder. It's going to give us 4/1, and that actually equals 4, just like if you would have added 2 plus 2. And here's what that looks like. There's our 1 teaspoon, so we're just going to throw that in there. We have 1 plus another 1, gives us our 2 from the first set, and then we're going to add another 2, which also could be 2/1, remember? There's 1, and there's 2, and that gave me a total of 4. Okay, now this one's kind of tricky. 1/3 plus 1/3, add across the top, is going to give us 2. Bottom remains the same. Thirds, 2/3 is our total. And that looks like this. We have our buttermilk, and we have our 1/3 in there already. You can't see it, but that's what 1/3 looks like. We're going to add another 1/3, right? Going to pour that in there to give us our total together. Remember, it was 2/3, and that's what we came up with. Do you see it right there? And see, it's still less than 1 cup. And now we have math muffins. Because we doubled our recipe, it was going to give us 9. But since we added another recipe with our fractions, it's going to give us 18 muffins. And there we go. 6 plus 12 is 18 math muffins.